You're the only one on here so far.
Oh, I'm early.
No,
Or
you're on time, but everybody else is either late or the time change means they're not coming.
oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to hop on and get to know everyone because I've missed the last couple months and I unfortunately don't really have many questions. I was just kind of here to see what everyone else was doing and
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, the last few weeks there've been quite a few people on, and I've been doing it in the morning. So all the Californians have been getting on at 7 a.m. and all the
okay.
Texans have been getting on at 9 a.m. But I've been shooting a load in the day, so now I have to move it to the evening.
That's perfect actually, because I'm usually a bit more free in the evening. I know everyone's schedule is a bit different. But it's so nice to officially meet you. I just want to say thank you for putting this course together. The last couple months, I haven't been able to really sit down and give it the focus that it needed. But so far, just from the things that I've read, it's been really informative and exactly what I need in terms of trying to forge my path forward. So
Oh, thank
appreciate
you.
that.
I'm glad. I hope it's helpful. Anyway, I think I feel like a lot of people perhaps miss the motivation when they're working alone, and so many of the people in the membership also are freelancers, and a few of the guys that are regulars on here are really pushing all of their income coming through their freelancing. So they and it's a way I've worked for a long time, and I know from obviously from my personal experience that it's really it gets really lonely.
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
so
that's,
yeah,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say I'm noticing that some of the members in here are becoming friends and beginning to kind of like support each other and push each other. It's really nice to see. Yeah.
It's really good to hear that because I think that's essentially why I came here, just to kind of find community. And I get what you're saying. It becomes, really lonely, or it can become very easy to be isolated in this type of work. And sometimes you just need like a little camaraderie and motivation, especially when you're working on stuff. And yeah, I went on the forum and I was just kind of checking everyone out and reading about their projects and what they're working on. And I'm like, finally, this seems like a great group of people. And yeah, I'm going to try to keep coming back because I need a lot of motivation too. I need some accountability, don't we all?
Well, you've got a whiteboard right behind you. That's my goodness, you're organized.
um, it's organized today. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep on task with everything. It's kind of a double-edged sword sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially because it's interesting. I found I was looking for something similar to this, and the algorithm must have heard me. So your program essentially is what I'm trying to get at. Something like your program, because I wanted to get more into journalism and documentary work, and you just came up as like an ad on my Instagram,
Oh, yeah.
and it was late at night. Like I wake up late at night, I scroll on Instagram and I followed you and I went back to sleep. This is going to sound crazy. I had a dream that you reached out to me after I
Wow.
followed you. I woke up the next morning, you had reached out to me and you were like, "Hey,
Wow.
thanks so much for like following." And I'm like, "Shit, this is crazy." So I'm like, "All right, that's a good sign. Like I need to get on board with this and figure out what it's all about." So that's kind of my interesting story of how I found you.
Oh, that's
I
nice.
I just need to like delve more into all the topics that you covered, and yeah, because I'm really at the beginning of everything.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, I think that's part of. I've been trying to create some stuff for people who are just at the beginning, and then all the way through to when you begin to pitch work or try and get assignments, and also sales negotiation. So I'm hoping that anybody who kind of comes in can I'm hoping I can provide a path all the way through from day one to finishing up a project. Um, so where are you now? You're researching stuff to work on.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
cool.
a little bit of background. I did more like fine art and some commercial work. And for a while I thought, I'll go into commercial. But it's only recently that I felt more drawn to do documentary work. I have a lot of projects in mind that I'm researching. I'm trying to start local, take that recommendation.
Yeah. Good.
Which is so hard because I just got rid of all my stuff and I'm ready to pack a suitcase and go tomorrow if I could, which is where my life will eventually be, living out of a suitcase. But I have a lot of projects. It's not a problem, it's a good problem, but I'm trying to start local. Like I have this project on refugees that I want to shoot. And in my area, New Jersey, there are a ton of refugees who are coming in from all over, Afghani refugees. I wouldn't be surprised if Ukrainian refugees would start coming in at some point. But,
Yeah.
you know, I'm starting to meet families who are like 10 minutes away from me who live in very small worlds. And they're trying to become, you know, accustomed to the country and find their footing, and just trying to gain access and their trust and photograph them. So it's very slow. It's a slow process. But I met this beautiful Syrian family with 4 children. I'm having dinners with them. So it's like, it's interesting how this is all turning out. I haven't been able to shoot anything yet. But it, you know, that's one of the projects I got going on. I connected with a group of like spiritual healers and witches in a certain part of New Jersey. There's like this weird part of New Jersey where a lot of witches are. And I'm really fascinated by
Oh God, that's good.
practices and what they do. And eventually I want to take it internationally and just get a feel for like different types of like spiritual people and healers, and just get into all the weird shit and see what they do and what that looks like. So I'm starting local.
Good.
And it's, yeah, just, I love topics of like mysticism, spirituality, and, you know, all this stuff. So
Yeah.
it should be interesting to see where things go, but it's a slow start. You got to like get a foot in the door, gain trust, and it'll all work itself out, but it's kind of a slow process right now because I'm getting like 3 different projects started, which I understand is probably a little too much, but I don't care. Like I'm a house on fire. I'm ready to go.
No, I don't think it's too much. I think why not? Why not have 3? Because they all move at different paces, right? So I'm sorry, I got somebody trying to get in.
Oh, good. No, go ahead.
Shall I let him in? He is. He might be trying to. Oh my goodness. There we go. Hey, we got Sabith and Alvaro too. And you guys have got your mics off, but we'll keep talking anyway. I love your subjects, by the way. Hey, Sabith. I love the subject of mysticism and witches, and I also think that I don't think it's overly covered. You know, I think especially witches from a documentary standpoint. I mean, I think we see lots of work on refugees because it's very you know, timely right now, and I guess it has been since the war in the Arab Spring. You know, perhaps there's always been refugees, but stuff about witches as well and mysticism, there's not much of that because I think access is difficult. You know, I mean, where do you find a community of witches?
Well, you have to be one to know one. So
oh yeah, I guess.
Yeah, it's, you know, really interesting how I stumbled into this town. A lot of very interesting energy there, and then I just found a group of local witches, and it just kind of like unfolded into this whole thing. And there's just a lot of weird stuff going on in that town, and like I'm curious. I want to know what's going on. I want to know if people are doing crazy rituals out in the woods because it's out in the middle of nowhere. And if they're having those rituals, I am going there to photograph it. So,
wow.
you know, I don't know where it's going to take me. I might die in the process, but it'll be a good story. So, yeah.
I'm excited to see that. That'll be amazing work.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Annalise. I want to hop on here and meet everyone and hear about what you're doing and what you're all about.
Nice to meet you, Annalise.
Hello.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
So we've got Sabith there. Sabith's in California. He's making work on the moment at the moment on, well, why don't I'll let you introduce yourself, Sabith.
Sure,
I'm
no
sorry.
problem. Yeah, I'm in Southern California, Annalise. I'm in Greater LA area. I live in the suburbs. Trying to work on a few stories at the same time, but the most recent idea being something to do with robotics and how it's impacting our lives. So I still fully haven't formed the visual idea. I think Spike would agree. I'm fairly good at narrative, so I'm working the other way around. I'm trying to get to the visual through the narratives. So that's my struggle. Yeah,
I think if anybody will ever need advice on creating a narrative and putting a written pitch together, Sabith is your man. You're quite gifted at that, mate.
Thank you, Spike. I appreciate that. By the way, I have good news to share before I hand over to Alvaro. I'm getting my press ID.
Oh, well done.
Nice.
I somehow winged it. I wrote to the LA Press Club guys, and initially they were reluctant. I threw everything I had at them. I said, you better fucking give me a press card. And they said, okay, we approved it. I said, okay, that's what I like to hear.
So now you can get in the door with your camera.
Exactly. I mean, I'm sure it gives access, right?
It will, if it doesn't give access, it will give legitimacy.
Exactly.
Yeah, some weight to your name. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
Alvaro, nice to see you, man. How are you?
Hello, Spike. Good to see you as well. Thank you
Yeah,
for
dude.
holding this meeting. Can you guys hear me well?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everything okay? All right, cool. My name is Alvaro. This is my first time joining one of these Q&A talks, so glad to be here. I'm in Los Angeles. I'm right near downtown LA. Sabith, what suburb are you in?
I'm in Glendora.
Glendora. Okay, I grew up in West Covina, not too far
very
away
cool.
from Glendora. Yeah.
That's nice.
And so, yeah, I'm a doc filmmaker, LA based, born and raised here in LA.
Very cool.
And I specialize in mostly short form documentaries. I have a business, a freelance practice in which that is kind of the bread and butter of the business, the production and editing of short form docs for museums, other cultural institutions, galleries, and places like this. And sometimes a social justice doc here and there with working with a nonprofit. And so that's a bit of my background. And at the moment, I have just reached a fine cut for a documentary that I have been working on for the last 3 years. And this documentary is about Mexican sound system culture, sonideros, which are these Mexican sound systems that set up huge sound systems for dances, for baptisms, for weddings, for parties, backyard parties, auditorium parties, all kinds of parties. They set up these huge sound systems, and there is a vibrant community here in Los Angeles of sonideros, and they are really part of an immigrant enclave of Mexicans from the state of Puebla that are living here in Los Angeles, and they kind of have a self-sustaining ecosystem that is very connected to their homeland via the internet. That's a very long log line.
Well done, man.
In a nutshell, that is what I've been working on. So I'm happy to be at finally a fine cut stage with that.
It's wonderful work as well, mate. It's so visual.
Thank you, Spike. Thank you.
And how's your edit going? I know you've been working for maybe when did we speak last? A month ago or 6 weeks ago or something?
Something about 6 weeks ago, I would say. Yeah, I finished my first episode. This is a series. I'm looking to develop a series on sound system cultures of the world. However, I'm starting with the first 3 episodes are centered around cumbia music, and the first episode deals with Los Angeles and this sonidero scene. The second episode will deal with a collective that is international, Mexico and US based, of producers, DJs. It's going to be a strange, trippy road film, and I'm still editing that. That's in post-production. And the third will be between Mexico and Japan. Yeah. So it's looking, that's, I guess you could say, a cumbia trilogy, but I'm hoping to expand to like other sound system cultures of the world, other musical traditions.
I'm excited to watch the interplay of Mexican versus Japanese culture.
Yeah, that should be interesting. Yeah. I've been learning Japanese really diligently for the last month or two, and just trying to like mentally prepare. There's 3 alphabets in Japanese or 4 alphabets in
Yeah,
Japanese.
3 systems of
Yeah,
alphabet.
yeah. So it's pretty wild. I'm only on
Wow.
one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Could you share a place for us to see your work anytime, Aura? Because I think
Yeah, I'd be happy
Sabith
to.
works down in Mexico and Oaxaca a little bit too. So I
Oh,
think
right
there
on.
might be some interplay between your.
Right on.
He might like to
Yeah,
see your stuff.
happy to. It would be a password protected like
Okay.
Vimeo link, because I've been submitting to film festivals. So this first episode is still waiting to go out and see the world, shall we say.
Or if you're uncomfortable, don't let me put you on the spot. We can wait.
No,
to
no,
say it
no.
No
another
worries.
time.
Yeah.
I'm totally fine with it. Yeah, no, I'm totally fine with it. This thing is well on its way. Believe me. I've been sharing this thing with a lot of people because I'm also looking to have it bought. Of course, film festivals are one thing that I'm going after because I dig the community of it. I've never really done the festival thing, so I want to know what that feels like. But really, the point is to sell the work, and so it's made its way to many inboxes across the world. So we'll see.
Have you begun pitching, or are you just wrapping up?
I've just now sent it to some people that are interested in Paris, some people that are interested in Canada, that do web focused docs.
Nice.
And so it's very preliminary. Yeah,
Nice.
very, very preliminary. And then we'll see what happens here in the United States. I have a couple of maybe leads, but I think that they would want a universal license, all rights kind of license. Because I used to work for PBS, KCT Channel 28 here in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And they're a great outlet, but they're very well known for paying super low cheap for acquisitions, and they want universal rights. So not a good combination.
Not ideal, no.
Even though I used to work for the outfit, but yeah, they because it's PBS, they kind of enamor you, right, with the idea of you're going to show on PBS, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
But not universal rights.
Yeah. I've worked with PBS and their day rates are low as well.
Yeah, it's all in the glamour of PBS, right?
Yeah. I mean, at least you can say it,
Exactly.
And how did you get on with I remember we were discussing media release forms also. How did that go for you?
Yeah, it's been going well. I think what Spike is bringing up is that I had shot a whole bunch of footage with my 2 main subjects and had not secured a release form from either of them yet. Granted, I had, had meals with them. I had been to their homes. I had met their family members. We had verbal agreements and they knew what the project was all about and everything. But since I was pretty much a one-man show for this entire project episode, I had not covered that part of the production side, of the producing side of things. So it's been going good. They're very happy to hear that we've broken the radio silence and that this is going to be in a festival soon and all that kind of stuff. So
right.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all
great.
Good. Yeah.
You're friends again, huh?
Yeah, we're cool again. Yeah, we're cool because the pandemic happened and it really kind of just shut down production for this documentary, and my editing freelance work totally blew up, and so this was really shelved for the better part of the pandemic. So
right.
I just recently, in the last 6 months, finished it.
Good.
It was all shot already. Yeah, edited.
Congrats, man. That's a great feeling.
Thank you. It is a wonderful, wonderful feeling because sometimes you wonder when you're gonna get to feel that feeling after you're working on something for so long.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a good feeling.
It gets a little cabin fevery as well, doesn't it? Sat just watching the laptop every day.
Indeed.
Annalise, when you're photographing commercial, do you worry about model release forms?
Generally I try to incorporate as much as possible. I never shot anything too big in terms of commercial, more like local businesses type thing. I did a lot of photo assisting for a good period of time. So again, nothing too major when it came to commercial stuff. But to answer your question, yes, I always try to incorporate that into whatever it was that I was shooting, because you never know when that might bite you in the ass.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Here's a difference that I will bring up though. When I'm shooting video or film, I've always been asked to make model media release forms, model release forms, whatever you would like to call them. But if I'm shooting still photo for documentary, whether it's for whoever it's for, whatever client, release forms are not necessary. Never
That's
needed them. Yeah. So I just guess I wanted to mention it for you, Annalise and Sabith. That's a weight you can leave off your shoulder.
Interesting.
You feel a lot more free.
Huh. I never thought about that. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries. No worries.
Is it safer, Spike? I know we talked about this earlier, but is it safer to have a model release form, just like to Annalise's point, just to make sure they don't come around and throw new terms at us later?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, if you want to be really safe, then yeah. But I've never been asked for them. I've never been asked for it on a still photo documentary shoot, which is weird. I don't know why it's different like that. Annalise, do you want to? I think the others jumped on. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry I left you guys waiting in the waiting room for a second. I didn't see the message pop on. So thanks for your text, Alvaro.
Yeah, no worries.
So you guys missed Annalise's little intro. Could you tell them a little bit about the projects you're starting?
Yeah, so a lot of projects at once, trying to start local, even though I essentially got rid of all of my stuff in the last couple of months, and I want to live out of a suitcase here in a few months in the next year. So the two projects I'm working on starting right now, one being there's this local town in New Jersey, like an hour north from me, out in the middle of nowhere, New Jersey. And I came into this community of witches and other like spiritual healers. I'm really into mysticism, witches, healers from all over the world. But once I kind of got into this community, I'm starting to shoot a project based on their lives and what it looks like. I'm really curious about like what their rituals look like. I know some of them get into, some stuff. So it's just me kind of being nosy, and I want to document these people like living very average lives, but also behind the scenes. It's funny because I am more of a spiritual person. I'm very intuitive and psychic. So I'm very curious by others who are in this world. And a lot of us kind of live a double life. Like my own family doesn't know that I am a medium and I'm a psychic, and I'm upstairs in my room while my family's downstairs, and I'm doing my own rituals. So it kind of feels like a very in the closet type thing. Meanwhile, they are born again Christians, and I came from a Christian upbringing, and I left that, and I've essentially become a witch. So in making friends in the spiritual community, there's been this kind of camaraderie of living our normal day-to-day lives, having these normal 9-to-5 jobs, but also practicing spirituality. And what does that look like? And some crazy shit has happened in my own personal life and in my friends' lives. So that's kind of my goal in getting in with these people. Like, what does your life look like? Yes, but what does it really look like behind the scenes, and kind of gaining their access and their trust. And I'm hoping to kind of take it to the next level in the next few years, where I travel around the world and study different groups and indigenous healers in different parts of the world, and what that looks like, and how their spirituality, religion, and mysticism plays into it. So I'm just super fascinated by cults, by spirituality. Cults is another topic and photo series that I'll be getting into at some point. And then I'm also fascinated by refugees. I have a lot of refugee neighbors who live right around from me, and I'm really curious about what their integrative experience is like, coming from another country and living in this very diverse part of the world. So yeah, that's just a little scoop of everything. I got a lot going on. I'm still sorting it out and figuring out all the details, but we'll just see where it goes from here. It's just kind of about ironing out some of the wrinkles and seeing where the cards fall. So that's what I'm doing for now.
I think those stories about subcultures, they really don't need much. After your introduction of the topic, they don't need much pushing when you pitch, just because people are like, oh yeah, of course I want to know what it looks like behind the scenes in a witch's house. Who doesn't want to see that?
Right.
It's so compelling. It's also so visual, I think. You think of, there are visual stereotypes which I don't think are correct. But your mind goes to candles, and it goes to long hats, and it goes to cats, and it goes to, I don't know, cauldrons.
Yeah. And that's the fascinating thing about it, because, a lot of my friends and I who are into this stuff, we joke about how, like, I have a friend and she's a bombshell. Like, she's gorgeous, gorgeous. And you wouldn't assume like this hot single lady is like, she's the most psychic medium I've ever met. And like, dead people come to her all the time. And she has crazy shit that happens to her. She is the antithesis of what you would think like a spiritual person or like a psychic is. And I love that idea of kind of like rolling the curtain back. And, some people, you look at them, you're like, okay, yeah, they're into some like crazy stuff. But then you like take another look further into other people and you're like, oh, see, you look normal, but there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. And I think I love that you brought that up, because that's kind of what I'm interested in too. Like, yeah, there's some stereotypical look stuff there, but just pull a curtain back and it's fascinating. It's fascinating to me. It really is.
Yeah. It's that interplay between the I think also with any subculture, it's that interplay between the regular world, going to Walmart to get some groceries. Maybe that's not the place you get groceries, but going to the gym. Like, does a witch go to the gym? You know what I mean? Or
I'm sure they do, Spike. Come on.
Yeah.
Right?
We're very normal. We're very normal and kind of boring.
Yeah.
It's just we're woken up late at night by spirits and dead people talking to us. So it's, if that's what you believe. If you don't believe that, that's totally fine. I'm not here to like convince anyone that this stuff is real. I just kind of want to like show this weird world and give a glimpse into it, whether or not you believe in it. It's kind of interesting.
It is. Whether or not you believe in it, it's interesting. Yeah. Also, not to downplay your refugees angle as well. Those stories are super worthwhile. So I think you'll make some great work there.
Thank you. I think I'm still trying to play with that, because I started with this idea, if I could have just a moment to kind of like verbally go through this. I've been drawn to do a series on refugees since the beginning of the year. And then everything, things have been going on for a while. And then obviously things with the Ukraine and Russia. And I was seeing just in general, a lot of kind of, I don't want to call it just like very photojournalistic coverage of everything going on. And I really want to try to find a way to approach this in a way that hasn't been approached before. And I know that's difficult, being that a lot of people are covering the story right now. So that's something that I'm kind of mulling over in my head. Like, how do I approach this? And I think I'll figure it out, but that's one thing I've been really mindful of. Like, there are a lot of people on the ground showing what's happening. I feel like I need to shoot the project in some capacity, but I'll also need to find a way to make it different than everything that I'm seeing. So whatever that looks like, we'll see.
Yeah, that's important. I'm sorry for this example again, Sabith. I used this female photographer as an example last time we were on a call. There's one lady who I really respect who travels to the same places that I go. She's a female photographer. She uses square medium format. I think she uses a Hasselblad. She's called Anastasia Taylor Lind. She's English, Swedish. And she, while the rest of us are like moths to the flame, running towards where the action is happening, in a conflict zone, Ukraine. I've worked in with her in Ukraine, or where else has she worked? I've worked in Myanmar with her as well, covering a genocide there, where the rest of us are going towards the action. She'll stay maybe like 30 miles back, a long way back. She'll set up a black background, and then she'll just ask people to stand in front of the black background, and she'll just make a portrait of that person. Maybe like it's a mother and a child, and the child's got a teddy bear, you know, or the mother's got a rose or something like that. And not necessarily it's a method that will work for yourself, but she's really worth looking at, because she covers breaking news in a way that nobody else is doing, and it's aesthetic, and it's very simple, and it's very, very effective. And I'll write her name in the chat box for you here. And
Thank you. Yeah.
she's just worth taking a look at.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, no worries.
And Spike, yeah, I want to concur with what you said. I've been following her work with Ukraine as well. And yeah,
Oh, really?
Yeah. Even the recent ones, she's been doing some pretty similar but interesting work.
Yeah, thanks, Sabith. I'm glad you checked her out. Yeah,
Of course, yeah.
she's inspiring. Yeah. So what are you looking at the work?
Yeah.
Facial
Really
expression.
beautiful. Thank you.
It is. I made a note of Anastasia as well. It looks really interesting. Annalise, I wanted to ask you, what do you envision as your kind of like final project with the photographs of the witches and the community that you've told us about? Like, is it what kind of like I guess, is it something material, or is it something online, or is it something completely different? I was just wondering.
That's a really good question. I haven't thought that far ahead, which I should probably. I think I'm just trying to figure out what I would do with it. I mean, I don't know. I'm glad you asked that question, because it's kind of put me in this place where it's like, I did not think about that. Right now I see it as a part of a larger body of work of photographing different people all over the world, but I think I probably need to scale it back a little. At least it could be a project of its own. So thanks for that question, because now I'm gonna have to put that on my whiteboard and think about it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, no better place to start than the local. And you mentioned that you already have like folks that you're working with, perhaps already have photographed. And sometimes, the more local is even most interesting, because and it's accessible to you as well to like, churn out more photos in this case. And yeah, to me, like, it sounds like it would make a really fascinating book, like a photo book. And in this day and age, DIY photo books are getting cheaper and cheaper to produce. But like, I have no idea what a community of witches and mediums and other folks look like in the part of New Jersey that you're talking about, right? And so I just imagine that to me, it seems like it would be such a interesting environment and community to like see in photographs.
I love that idea of a book, because I often felt like a lot of my work I would want to eventually put into a book. And yeah, it's one interesting thing about this town is they filmed, I believe it was the first Friday the 13th movie in the area. So that's like a big attraction in the town. There's not much that goes on. But Friday the 13th rolls around once a year, I think, and everyone's there. So it's like, that could be an interesting, theme that gets tied into there. God only knows. But I really appreciate that feedback, because it'll give me something to kind of think about as I try to form this. I just kind of want to keep shooting as much as I can and then figure out where to go with it. But having more direction with that would be good. So thanks for that reminder.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, I'm upgrading our Zoom so it doesn't kick us out at the same time.
Oh yeah, I see that there's a remaining time here.
Yeah, I've almost got my credit card details in. format are you shooting on, Annalise?
Currently digital.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice.
It could be really nice film though. It could be a really nice movie.
Could be.
Yeah.
It's difficult though, isn't it? And I'm sure it's the same with video gear. Once you go down that rabbit hole, you know what I mean. The possibilities are endless. We were
Mhm.
talking about this last week. One of the other members, Sid, was saying he struggles when editing because he has all of these filters that he can apply. And the danger is that if every time he's using a different filter, the work over time, his portfolio doesn't look like one person. So people don't recognize one specific style when they think of Sid, so I don't know, maybe just stick with digital. I think that's maybe what I'm saying.
Okay, good. Because I like my options, but then if you have too many options, it starts getting muddled. And so I like that reminder. It's a good reminder.
There's so many options. Yeah. And once you pick up your film camera, then you've got to choose your type of film, and then you've got to, I don't know, but you can always edit your digital to look like film, but maybe that's cheating.
Well, if that's cheating, I've cheated a lot. So
Me too.
I think that's solid advice there, especially for, I think I might be shooting some video depending on what kind of rituals are taking place and what's going on.
Goodness.
So, yeah, I want to get in there. I want to get in there and get dirty, see what kind of crazy shit they get up to. So that could be interesting video too. Anyways, I've been talking a lot about this project. Thank you so much, everyone, for giving me space. I'm not going to talk your ear off about these witches anymore.
No, I've been enjoying it. I really like immersive projects as well. I really like embedding, and kind of trying to tell a story through your own experiences within that group. That's a really powerful way to work, and I think it sounds like you're in the correct place to be doing that.
Thank you for that encouragement. I appreciate it. Because a lot of times you're in the middle of something, you're like, what the hell is going on? Does any of this make sense? I don't know if this is even going in a direction that makes sense, but I think everyone's drawn to certain things for a certain reason. And, having that kind of inside perspective is really helpful. And it's what makes your work interesting and stand out. So Alvaro, how you were talking about your project, that sounds like something I never thought of before. And I'm like, hell yeah, sign me up. I want to listen, watch that. That sounds fascinating. So yeah, I'm super stoked to see how everyone's projects play out, and super excited to see how that looks.
Yeah, it is a fascinating project. Before this might kick us out, I've just upgraded. If it does kick us out, just log straight back in and I'll let you all back in.
Okay.
But can I help with any questions that you've got, any of you guys right now, or we can keep just shooting the shit, but have you got anything specific?
Yes, like I may have something.
Sure.
So I'm, as you know, between 5 different ideas.
Yeah.
none of which are fully formed, as you know, visually. Okay, visually they're not fully formed.
Sure.
So my challenge is, I think I want to zero in on this robotics thing.
Yeah.
The little essay that I sent you a few days ago, and try and build on that. And I think I have a few leads based on our previous conversation.
Great.
Few organizations, few people that I can potentially interview.
Hey, would you give the others a quick intro to that piece?
Oh yeah, sure, of course.
Sure.
So basically the idea is, just to give you the background of where the idea came from. So I was traveling in Saudi Arabia in December to Riyadh, which is the capital, where my brother lives. And so me and my wife were at a restaurant, and of all the people who served us, there came a robot. So we actually had a robot come and serve us, right, our breakfast. And it was kind of spooky, weird. It was a high-end restaurant, so we went because of the ambiance and everything. And this little thing comes rolling over and, serves us breakfast. It's kind of almost bizarre, if you will, right? So I had a little conversation with the waiter saying, hey, what do you think of it? What do you make of, robots taking over your jobs and things like that? And he seemed pretty unfazed. He was like, yeah, it's pretty dumb. It doesn't really do much. It's more for kids' entertainment. He pretty much brushed it off because you literally have to put the food on the robot's tray. It basically brings it to you, and then you again have to take it off from it. So it's pretty useless, right? Apart from the visual angle. So that gave me an idea of, and again, every time I go to Sprouts to do groceries, half the time the machines don't function, right? I mean, the checkout counter, the self-checkout counter, you usually need a human being to come and fix whatever they need to fix. So I got an idea about how useless or dysfunctional robotics can be, and what the human sort of robot interaction, how is that shaping up? I'm sure they'll perfect the technology in the years to come. Yeah, I'm trying to see what the next steps are. All I have really is a short 15-second clip of that robot serving us and a photograph or two of that particular robot. So visually, I think I don't have a lot of material, as I've shared with Spike. I do have a fairly decent essay of about 1,000 words that I wrote over the weekend when I was traveling. So that's where I think, and again, in full disclosure, I'm probably the least experienced photographer / videographer / visual person on this call. My full-time job, I'm a professor, so I teach at a university. And this is like my hobby that I'm trying to develop. So that's where I'm at. So I'm having, to be honest, slightly harder time thinking visually. Sorry, Spike, go ahead.
No problem, but you're a published author, so you're already an established writer.
Fair enough, thank you. Yeah, but in this space, I think I'm pretty much a novice. I think in thinking in terms of visually, even though I have a good visual aesthetic, I can appreciate beautiful stuff. I know what's beautiful and what's not, or what's good and what. I mean, I have a sense of aesthetics, if that helps. But I think I need to develop this skill, the technical stuff, as well as the sense of how to tell a good visual story, if you will. So that's where I'm stuck a little bit. But again, that's one of the reasons I'm here.
Right
Yeah.
on.
Okay. I
Well,
think
that experience sounds so crazy in the restaurant. Sorry, Spike.
no, carry on, mate. After you.
That experience must have. It sounds like jolting for sure. So I think that's a really interesting life experience, right? To spark into this project. I have a couple of questions. Are you? Oh, first, what do you teach? What are you a professor of? And
Yeah.
and are you thinking documentary or video documentary or photography for this project?
No, I'm thinking of photography. Video is not really on my radar right now. I think I'm thinking more efficiency, because I think photos, in my view, are more efficient and you can get it done quickly. Technically, I don't have the skills, to be completely honest, right? So I'm figuring out photography as we speak. In terms of what I teach, so I teach, I'm in the School of Management. I teach public administration, public policy, things of that kind, nonprofit management. So I've done a bunch of things in my life. I used to be in PR. I grew up in India, so I did public relations, public affairs. I did, what else did I do? Nonprofit management. I ran a nonprofit in DC. So I lived in Washington, DC. I went to school in upstate New York. So Annalise, I know you're part of the world a little bit. Yeah, so I've done a few things, and then I'm here.
Do you teach at a LA university?
Yeah, I teach at Cal Lutheran in Thousand Oaks.
At Cal Lutheran, okay,
Yeah.
right on.
Right.
on.
Hey. Represent.
Indeed.
repping my university.
Repping. I've been thinking about your situation, Sabith, as well, and I think the way that I was going to try to explain it, the visual versus written for you, to try to give you a path forward, is that the comparison that I can think of in my brain is that written stories, particularly I think research or academic, are quite high level. And they cover a lot of ground, they cover a lot of topics, they cover maybe a lot of people in an overarching umbrella. When you get visual or photographic, you almost flip it on its head and you find one or two or three characters to really narrow in on, and you use them as markers for that overarching theme, as examples to support the cognitive theory that you're presenting,
Sure.
if you see what I mean.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah. So being
Yeah.
specific and not abstract. Yeah, that's my problem. I think I tend to abstract too easily. That's my problem. And I think details matter, right? I think being more grounded in the reality. Yeah.
Yeah. At some point, I think definitely you can be vague, and you can scene set, with a visual story, whether it's film or video. You kind of need to start a little way out to show, okay, this is where we are in the world, this is where we are in time, this is kind of the topic that we're dealing with. But then at some point, yeah, you have to introduce the characters, and you have to say, this is what the character's doing in this world, and this is why you should care about this character a bit. So I think for your robotics story, you'd need to find a way to make that. You'd need to find a visual way in. So like in California, are there robots that you can be making like artful portraits of in a way that you'd photograph? Do you remember when you were like 5, when I was 5 years old and I was in school, there'd be a guy who'd come in and he'd put that like weird smoky backdrop behind us, and he'd make like a funny portrait of us in our uniform, with our tie on.
Yeah.
Like maybe you could do something like that with robots. I don't know.
Okay.
A portrait series of dysfunctional robots.
That's a great one. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean, though? And that, don't necessarily use that idea. It might be crap to you, but it's trying to think of, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, also there's this proposal or an idea about introducing robots for pricking strawberries. I mean, I live around a lot of strawberry fields, right? There's lots of farmland here. And this is about 2 or 3 years ago, right about, or maybe during the pandemic, that some of the farm owners, they were talking about mechanizing the farms. Maybe that could be a good story. I mean, that could be a good angle, right?
It's a great angle. Yeah, and then you turn it into a business story, and then there's a lot to photograph actually, and you could photograph it from that human perspective, that business perspective, how a business is mechanizing, and how is that helping or hindering them in the long run. And then you're pitching to people like Forbes or Bloomberg or business
or maybe
types.
a robot working with a human. I don't know if I can find that, but that interaction could be cool.
Yeah, that would be a way to do it.
Yeah, Spike, I know myself, and I know what my problem is. I think my problem is I need to get off my ass and actually go out and interview people. That's really honest. I'm being honest with you. I just haven't had the time. I need to do that. And the more I do it, I'm sure I'll find people and subjects.
Yeah, that is the next step. Yeah, just getting up, getting out, making some photos.
Finding people, exactly.
Yeah, but if you just found one a week, you'd maybe need, for example, if you were going to make it a business story, maybe you'd need 3 case studies. You'd need 3 businesses. Okay. You could maybe spend 2 weeks, a month, however long you want to research it, and you could find the weirdest, most interesting, 3 of the weirdest, most interesting businesses, whether it's a brothel employing sex robots, or
God, Spike.
It's true, man. It's happening.
Really?
I want that story. I want that story.
It
That's
is.
an interesting one.
My guess would be in Japan, right, Spike?
I think
Probably.
definitely Japan.
Yeah, definitely.
Not US, I don't know. Maybe in Texas. I don't know.
Where is it? Oh, there was one they were trying to open in Dallas, but I think it got shut down.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Some strange corners of Nevada, I'm sure, are already in business.
Or someone in a trailer who's made their own,
Yeah, good point.
This is an amazing brainstorming session going on right now.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? You need those 3, or maybe it's like a mechanized farm under UV lights or something. You need those 3 super interesting, super weird ones. Then you just bang out an email to each one and you say, I'm with the LA Press Club. I'm making this story and I'd like to pitch it to Wired, because that's where you want to land it, or Bloomberg.
Sure.
And then you visit 1 a month or 1 a week, spend a day, do an interview, do some photos.
Yeah, that's
and then
a plan.
And then you're done. Yeah.
Sounds like a plan. Yeah, I just need to do this. I mean, I think I
Yeah.
think too much, and I've been writing a lot. I've not been really photographing a lot. I did, by the way, if I may, I don't want to dominate the time or monopolize everybody's time. I did shoot my photographer, my barber.
Oh, cool.
So I have a very interesting barber who's retiring. He's in the process of not quasi-retiring and becoming a lifestyle guru, as in yogi, if you
Nice.
will. So he's sort of transforming himself into something which he sees himself being. Very cool Mexican American kid who's about 24, 25, and I've been going to him for the last 2.5 years. Every time I go, it's a blast. It's an incredible conversation with him during the entire haircut. And the latest thing is he broke his wrist. So he was really thinking about his life. And he said, okay, you know what? I'm tired of cutting hair. I'm going to be like not a spiritual guru, but you know what I mean? Like a lifestyle change
Yeah.
guru sort of thing. So I said, you know what? That was my last haircut with him and he's stopping his work. So I said, let me do a shoot with you. So I spent half a day with him, just
Oh.
shot him working. And that also gave me an idea for doing a series of things around transformation, around how people at the moment of transformation, what are they doing? So I think I need a few more subjects like him to really call it a series, right?
Yeah.
So I have the narrative written down and a bunch of about 300 photos of him. But that's another idea that I've been working on, by the way.
Yeah, it's nice. That's a nice one. I mean, transcendence, transformation, existential questions.
Right.
Harder to pitch, or maybe not. Maybe not at all. But just as worthwhile. I mean, I love that, and I like that. I like that you just started photographing as well. I think that's key. Just photograph as much as you can and practice as much as you can.
Yeah, that's the idea. Thank you.
Yeah, no problems, man. Good work.
Yeah, thanks.
It's cool. How about you, Alvaro? Can I help with anything? I hope I can.
I do want to send you my new cut, and
Good.
And I'll be happy to share it. In fact, I'll share it in the chat right now so that I don't forget.
It's gonna blow your minds.
I do have my Vimeo open here. Share link. Let's see.
Annalise, I just followed you on Instagram.
And the password.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, Alvaro, are you on Instagram?
I am. As the name of my company, De La Parra, like my last name, De La Parra Productions. Or just my full name, Alvaro Parra as well. Yeah, but if it comes up
I looked up, there are a few Alvaro Parras out there.
Yeah, there are. It's a lot more common in like Spain and Chile, my name.
Okay.
Here in California, not so much. But
that's true. Okay, cool.
yeah.
Thanks for the link, man.
Yeah, I did
Thank
share
you.
it there, and that's the password. Of course, just let's keep it for your eyes only or whatever, because it's still it's still at a vulnerable state or whatnot. It is a fine cut, but changes will probably be made, and it still needs, I did the color and the sound pass, so it's not a super professional color and sound pass. I still need to pay the pros to do that part. And I think that's the next step for sure, because I'm not a colorist as much as I would like to consider myself skilled in that arena, but I am not really a colorist, nor am I a sound mixer, of course, either.
Yeah.
So those are real professional jobs.
I think the job of a colorist is the job that everybody thinks they can do, but very few can.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, you can watch YouTube videos and they will definitely help, and you'll become a better colorist after every YouTube video that you watch. But it is, it is truly one of the dark arts of post-production.
Yeah, better done by females,
In many cases, yes. Yeah. I mean, here in Los Angeles, I know a lot of colleagues that are colorists. Yeah, that are women for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. And good money here in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
it's pretty good money here in LA.
Better
So in regards to that, I guess I'm just at no, honestly, I mean, I just want to say that now that after 3 years of, I guess I want to say a couple of things. One is directed at you, Sabith, because I want to say that 3 years ago when I started this project, even though I do have a background in filmmaking and I went to film school for both of my degrees, when I actually, the first day that I intentionally stepped out into the world and traveled to San Jose, California to shoot one of my main subjects, I was absolutely terrified. I was just terrified. And I didn't know what to shoot, how to shoot it. Was it good or not? It wasn't. Most of the time, I'd say 95% of the time, it was not a good angle. It was not a good frame. But I forced myself to go out there. And I remember being at a gas station in San Jose thinking, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, nobody wants to shoot with me. Nobody wants to interview with me. Everyone's busy. They don't even know me. I don't have their trust. And so in regards to that, I think your project sounds super fascinating as well, super interesting. I think in California, you would find, in Southern California, especially with the technology sector in Southern California being what it is, I'm sure that if you just scratch the surface, even probably in freaking Glendora or Claremont or Pomona, which are all, you know, tech industry kind of in the shadows places near you in Glendora, you would probably find some freaky ass robotic things going on, you know, behind.
No, I agree. Thank you. No, I appreciate that.
And it just takes that one freaking day that you're like, I'm gonna go and I'm just gonna jump in, you know, and it's probably going to be one of your least fruitful days in terms of photographs, but the fact that you willed yourself to do it, I mean, that just like gets the ball rolling. And so trust me, like the fear is real and everything. And so I hear you, you know, but once you meet that first robotic human interaction situation, I mean, I can guarantee you that like it'll just start proliferating after that, you know, especially in Southern California. I mean, I don't know anything about robots, but I'm sure that it's probably a crazy scene, you know, going on in the background here in the strange Southern California milieu that it is what it is, you know. So
yeah, no, I agree.
I just wanted to say that, man. Yeah, that it is true. There is ultimate rewards in just getting out there, you know.
Fully agree. Yeah, thank you. I felt great even after shooting my barber. It was good, you know, documenting that stage, and I shared some photos with him. So he seems happy. So it's a first step.
Right on.
Yeah. So next come robots.
Yeah, man. I think also there are so many, for a quick mind like yours, there's so many stories out there in the world that you could cover. I've seen you over the last, you know, couple of months be curious about this topic and this topic and this topic, and they're all totally valid and totally great. But just pick one of them for a bit and just dig deep on it. And like Alvaro says, that embrace that fear, because that fear means that the story is valid. And for me, I'll speak for myself, the fear when I walk out the door to a shoot is the fear isn't really about the fear is fucking it up. I'm like, I've got this one opportunity to photograph these people that are really hard to access, or, you know, and I recognize that it's a good story, a good project. So the fear is for me is a fear of failure. And I guess it's worth embracing. It's worth recognizing. Maybe you don't have that. Maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, but
no, I'm not too scared. I think it's more like you said, it's managing time and also a little bit of intimidation, of course, right? Because I need to start thinking of myself as a photographer. That's also part of the story, right? I don't think of myself as an artist or as a photographer. So that's a little bit of self-talk is also needed. Yeah. How I present myself. And I think that press ID will help.
Yeah.
It's the first like tangible thing saying, hey, look, I'm actually not who you think I am. I'm not a professor anymore.
Will you post the photographs of your barber? You'll put them on your portfolio?
Planning to, yeah.
Oh, great. Okay. Yeah. I'd love to see them.
Of course, yeah. I'd love to share them with you, of course.
Thanks, man. Yeah. I'm excited about that. I'm jealous. I'm jealous of all your stories. Yeah.
What I was going to say, Spike, also is just that now that I have a finished piece, it's a strange place to be in. And a lot of the articles, you know, that you post, it's like suddenly, you know, the contact list really comes into play. And suddenly, you know, the idea of the type of licensing agreements that one wants to look for to be able to sell one piece in different territories, you know, it's a really cool and new and a little scary, you know, new experience for me. So that's kind of like the path that I'm treading right now, and then also being able to say, well, I have this second episode that's in the cut, you know, ready to come out soon, and I have a third episode. It's like bargaining chips, you know what I mean? It's like it's been interesting to navigate that, and then just it's like first steps, you know, it's very initial steps.
Yeah, it's a whole different. I feel like you've conquered the difficulties of finding access and finding a subject and getting in there and shooting and editing. You're way down the road on that, and the bit that you're dealing with now is just a different form of difficult. It's that business side, which is, none of us like that. I mean, we're all creative people, and that business side is difficult, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It's also a hard industry.
Learning curve. Yeah, it's a learning curve, and I'm glad to be in it because it's cutthroat, you know, but it's also like you start realizing that once you actually do have a finished product, suddenly there's a lot of interest.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to know, or at least everyone's, you know, when I say everyone, I'm talking about like, you know, outlets or streamers, or, you know, the documentary form itself, the short form documentary, you know, to be specific, has suddenly entered a new era, I think, of like significance and ubiquity, you know. So it's interesting, you know, to see the business side of it, because it's something that I still have a lot to learn about, the business side of it. Because I've been making and studying the stuff for a long time, but like now actually selling and, you know, learning what a good and a bad deal is something to, you know, it's also something very important, I would say, to learn, right? Because we all want to sell our work, right? So
I have a feeling though that you'll be able to spot a bad contract a mile away.
I hope so. I mean, I do want to get a lawyer eventually if it seems too confusing, but I mean, I do think just, yeah, my time as a freelancer has helped in that sense as well, you know, to smell something a bit rotten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think after I don't think you'll struggle to publish your first piece, and your second is in the works, and that third one, the Japanese Mexican interplay, is killer. I really think you're really well placed, and I haven't written about this at all yet, but I think you'll be well placed for some decent grants as well.
Yeah, grants. That's a whole other world.
There's loads and loads of money in support of the artistic community. On the table for pieces like yours.
It's something I definitely have to look into. Yeah. I think right now, I guess the question that I would have, Spike, is, you know, this balance of like editing, doing business administrative stuff, contacting your network, responding to emails in a prompt time. I mean, I'm kind of doing it all myself right now. I'm really thinking about bringing on an assistant producer or something, or an associate producer or something like that, you know. But all right, cool, man. Have a good one, Sabith.
Sorry about that. Yeah, got it on.
Yeah, no worries, man.
Thanks, Sabith.
Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.
We'll
Cheers, mate.
It's starting to like kind of get crazy, you know. My wife and I also have a 4.5-year-old daughter, of course. So, you know, I'm a father as well. I have 2 dogs and 7 cats that I feed as well. It's not a lie.
Mate.
The cats I inherited. No, but what I'm trying to say is like, suddenly I feel like I'm scaling a bit larger than a one-man show, you know, but I'm still able to handle it as a one-man show for the most part. But I wonder, like, yeah, do you have like a producer that you work with, or do you do it all yourself? You know, like what advice would you have in that regard?
Sometimes I do. My workload is especially through COVID was crazy. Through COVID, I had enough for like 2 or 3 people, because it was like regular shooting, and then it was also producing news stories. I was running around, you know, shooting in hospitals and ambulances and stuff for a while. So I took people on then. I took on not producers, I took on editors, because I couldn't get my stuff out fast enough. I was the bottleneck, because I was coming back exhausted, and then I was downloading, and then I was trying to edit something together, and so I'd be passing my stuff to editors while I was still shooting and doing it like that. But that was real fast turnaround projects. That wasn't so much short form, like considered documentaries. So it really just, for me, it depends on what works like. Right now, everything's quite quiet again, so there's just enough for me, and I'm just ticking over quite nicely. I think with this membership, actually, I might bring somebody on with the membership fairly soon, because the thing that needs to be handled here is managing, for example, when people can't get into their account, or it's like really admin stuff, and it's valid, it's totally valid, but I'd rather spend my time watching your cut or responding and commenting on Sabith's photos than dealing with somebody who wants a refund perhaps, or you know what I mean. So
sure.
I guess the short answer is I think everybody's different, and it's looking at what you do have on your plate, and then trying to find the thing that is the most outsourceable or the most replicable. Editing's an easy one, but I don't think you want to give your editing away.
It's been so hard. It's like my precious thing, you know. Yeah, I think I will have to, at some point. I can't direct and edit every single episode, if I really want to scale this thing out, in the larger picture, of course. And I think naturally, it's good to work with people that are from the place that you're working in, on the ground, that are, that are privy to all of that stuff. So I want to do co-directing things or co-written kind of projects in the future with these documentaries. But I think, if I had an editor right now working on the second episode, it would definitely free me up for a lot of other things, but that's also very costly in a city like Los Angeles.
Editors are expensive.
I mean, it's very costly. I charge a lot of money, to edit other people's work, so it's not something that I want to be, funding for 2 or 3 months. I mean, that's costly here in that could be $6,000 here in Los Angeles, easily. Yeah. So
I find that with editors, I find it difficult to find an editor who will take slightly less than I'll take. It's really annoying. I don't want to make a lot. But what I'd say is the easiest, I have a virtual assistant a lot. So the easiest thing to get off your plate is those admin tasks, I'd say. So like researching contacts, and I don't really know what you have on your plate specifically, but I'd say get rid of your admin if you can, if you have any.
I think I do. I think that's definitely a first step. And other things, other life things are definitely, I think it's starting to like be clear that we need more help. We just need more help as the business is like scaling bigger, which is a good thing. It's not a complaint.
No, it's a good thing. I think there's probably grants available as well to help hiring as well. For example, if you started an LLC or a production company, then maybe that's something to look at. Yeah,
I have my own LLC right now with California. Yeah, with like as my production editing business. So it helps for sure. And I had never really thought about grants, and I think it's something I really need to look into. I just kind of find it to be so like lottery-like, but that's a feeling that I had before I actually had a body of work. For a substantial body of work to show. And I think now that I have 2 or 3 pieces to show as a body of work, I feel like maybe the odds would just be better. It would still be a lottery, but the odds would be better, And I think before, when I was younger, it was like, when am I ever going to get a grant? Kind of more of a defeatist attitude about it.
It is a bit of a lottery, but if you're not in it, you don't win.
Indeed.
And this is not. I don't think my work is any better than yours, and I've got a fair amount of grants.
Thank you. That's very nice of you to say, Spike. But
no problem.
Well, it's definitely something I have to look into. I mean, California has crazy grants for the arts. It's almost like a grant mafia in California. It's so I mean, there's just a lot of artistic production in California, you know, as you guys
There
know.
is.
So it's very competitive, but I am also trying to, like, you know, renew my membership with IDA, the International Documentary Association, which is, it's kind of its own little world and networking kind of world here in LA. And
Yeah.
it's a very small world once you start, like, you know, knocking on those doors and like getting in there with
That's good,
actual work, I think, you know,
And
instead
I
of
think
just
that,
speaking in the abstract or whatever.
yeah, but the beauty of that small world is you put in for a couple of grants or a couple of competitions as well. You could do well in competitions, but because it's a
I've
small
never thought
world.
about either. Yeah, competitions. I don't even know of like doc competitions to speak of, honestly. I really don't. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd
There's
have
a few.
to research that.
There you go. That's a job for your VA.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I need a producer. I think I need a full-time producer
Yeah,
of some sort.
that's what you might need. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would probably, and also a producer can handle some of your scheduling and your admin stuff.
yeah. It's weird to be at that point, but I feel like, whoa, here we go. I
Good.
think like things are starting to move. Yeah, yeah. It's really interesting. It's really fascinating.
I'll tell you the thing to be careful of with hiring. When things are really busy and you hire a load, if things get quiet,
Mm,
you got to be careful that you can maintain that person over the quiet
mm.
part. Otherwise, you're always like training someone up, letting them go, training someone up, letting them go. I've struggled with that.
Good point.
I
We'll
haven't.
take that point to heart for sure.
Yeah. So start slow. That would be my recommendation. Give them a few hours a week and start slowly.
Gotcha.
Unless you get a grant for $500,000 and then you're all right.
Well, that would be nice. Yeah, you know, I have to really look at these grants because I think in the next 6 months, it's a lot of like deadlines. It surely has been the case with a lot of festivals I've been looking up. There's a lot of deadlines within the next like 3 months, especially. There's like a
Yeah.
lot of deadlines for stuff. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like its own full-time job in a sense, but obviously, you know, with a few focused hours, you can get a lot done.
Yeah. For the still photos, this is one for you, Annalise. It's all those deadlines, all the photo competition deadlines come December, January, right in Christmas, which is kind of annoying.
That's good to know, because by the time I get everything, well, hopefully I'll have some more stuff by that time next year. So it's just really helpful to hear your conversation in general, and have hope that, because I'm at such the beginning stages of everything, that is like, is any of this gonna come to fruition, and what is that gonna look like when I get further down the road? So it's just, you know, something to keep in mind.
It will. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, you're the one in the driving seat.
Mhm.
So if you want it, go get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your project sounds great, and I really feel like some sort of photographic series of what you've spoken to us about would be really, really interesting. You know, so yeah. Go for it, for sure.
I'd love to see behind that door.
And if you're gonna do video, I mean, I think video would also lend itself, you know, to it. I feel like sound would be a really important element in your, if you're gonna do video. So make sure you have like a really good microphone to capture like good sound from the get-go, for sure. Because yeah, when I think of rituals, you know, I think of sound a lot. So
Yeah, you're right.
That's a
that'd be
good
really
point.
cool. Yeah.
That's a really good point. Thank you for that. Okay. It's
Yeah.
interesting you say that, because I've been doing a lot of research into mics lately,
Mm,
for video work, because I feel stronger with my photography, and I'm just now delving a little more into video. And that I'm a little insecure about, just because I know videographers who are just really good, and I respect the amount of time they put into their craft. And but yeah, I definitely feel like video will have to be part of it. So the sound element, for sure, I'm going to keep that in mind. Thanks for that.
for sure.
There's a middle ground, I think, where you could record sound interviews and, like, you know, audio of activity, whatever that activity may be, and you could run it as a soundtrack under a photo slideshow.
Interesting. Yeah, you're right.
you wouldn't have to go full video if you don't want. There's an old New York Times project called 1 in 8 million, where they photographed, it's all black and white, they photographed interesting people in the city, then they ran a voice interview underneath of them explaining their life and explaining what they do. So there's like a ex-convict who is like heavily tattooed, but now he's dead sober and races road bikes in the city at night. Or there's, you know, the people in a 4-way marriage, you know, 1 in 8 million, New York Times. So, and that hits that hybrid of audio interview underneath and then still photos over the top. It's real nice. That might work.
I like that. It's interesting. As you're talking, it gave me another idea for there's too many photos. Yeah, no, thank you for that.
Too many ideas, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's
I mean, the
there's
audio
so many-
documentaries are a big thing now as well. Even just straight up audio documentaries, you know, and
Yeah.
talking about would probably make a really good audio doc as well. Like a short.
Yeah, I love that you said that, because a lot of the photos that I create, I like to interview the people and like put that dialogue with the images. I did for one project in particular, and I feel like I'd like to do more of that. So I think that's a great idea right there. Just getting the audio and putting it in there. And oh my God. All right. I got a lot to work on.
Or even as an installation piece, like that would be really, those would be good elements to like have, you know, if you were going to do like a gallery sort of installation piece, if you were going to, you know, interested in that sort of thing, which
for sure.
I feel like your project like could have so many interesting ways of being monetized, being finalized in different outputs.
Yeah, I agree. I do want to I want to get into galleries and do more of that type of work. So just add that to the really long list. But it's all fun. It's all fun to play around with and try to figure out how the pieces go together. It all comes together.
Right.
So.
And you will figure it out. Usually like as you go. Yeah, you will figure it out for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But I love seeing your process and hearing about your process, Alvaro, because it kind of gives me an idea of like what comes after just the initial stages of shooting things and trying to gain that access. That's the part that I'm fascinated in is the business aspect and how to pitch this and where to take it next, because it could be a great photo series, but I don't want it to live on my fucking website like everything else.
Right.
So that's kind of like the next goal. So I'll be really curious to see how your work develops, and I'll be learning a lot from you, and of course you as well, Spike. So a lot to learn.
All got a lot of knowledge in our brains to
right on.
I don't know, I feel like my brain's full with these conversations. I learn so much from you guys as well, you know, and I come out of these calls feeling pretty inspired as well. And I don't know, I'm just the same, innit? Everyone, we all just work on our own projects. And after a while, you know, motivation can slide. So talking to everybody else, I kind of get energy from you lot too. It's nice.
Yeah, I'm so grateful just to like be in the space and be able to kind of feed off of everyone else's energy and get a feel for what they're doing, because otherwise, if you don't have any motivation, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. So thank you for creating the space. I'm super excited to come back in the following weeks and what else is up.
Nice.
For sure.
Well, this is about to kick us out again.
Okay. Well,
so maybe this is a good time to wrap up.
Yes.
Perfect.
Good to meet you, Annalise, and good
nice
luck.
To meet you. Same to you. Really looking forward to seeing you all again very soon.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
2 weeks time.
Thanks
if
for
you
doing
can
this.
make it. Thanks. Hey, I'll check your thing, man, and I'll give you some thoughts back.
I would greatly appreciate it. And then when maybe we could email, I would love to get maybe a short conversation, because I have a couple of like very specific business questions.
Oh yeah.
I would like to just get your opinion on the matters.
Yeah.
So in the following couple weeks or whatever. Yeah. Okay, great. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of the cut. I would love to hear your thoughts.
For sure.
And thanks for taking a look at the work. Yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks for making it.
Yeah. All right, guys. Have a good evening.
Have a good evening. Take care.
See you later. Cheers,
Bye-bye.
guys. Bye.